What happened in Hermanus has been a valuable lesson to town councils countrywide. Ignore the land question at your peril. More from producer Angus Begg and cameraman Tsapo Dlamini. A few kilometers away from Zwelihle is the traditionally white side of town, Onrus village. Vanessa Swanepoel has lived here most of her life. She describes herself as an activist for change and runs a website called Overstrand Unite.
A large portion of the Zwelihle community are between 18 and 35 years old. They're youngsters, they've got young kids, some of them, and they are internet savvy. So they're very active on Facebook. So I thought, okay, the one way I can do it is I can start a Facebook group and invite people that I know in the community that do care about the people in Zwelihle to this group.
She says when she was growing up, she used to go to Zwelihle with her mother, who did volunteer work there.
So there were people on that committee, two or three people on that committee that I'd known since they were teenagers, some of them. And I called them up and I said, what's going on? Why are you protesting? And basically the one chap answered and said, you saw us as kids living in this squalor. And here we are, sort of 30 years old, and we're now raising our children in the same place and in the same space. And we're sick of it, and something has to be done about it. I asked them, what's the one thing I can do? And they said, you can show that there are a lot of other white people that actually do care about what's going on in Zwelihle.
These posts accuse her of helping to plan the riots and say that traitors like her should be killed.
Look how paranoid I've become. Covered my camera up with a plaster.
Vanessa says she was horrified when she saw the latest fence go up.
And there were a lot of people who saw that and said, oh my word, what are they doing that for? There's going to be trouble, because it's symbolically creating a divide between the white community and the black community.
We asked Hermanus Mayor Dudley Kutsia about the fence that caused all the trouble.
Unfortunately, a section of the community were under the impression that they were not consulted and decided to take the law into their own hands and break the fence down. That started the current unrest.
The burning issue is land. Activists like Sicelo Xamisa feel they are never consulted about development plans. It feels like developers own Hermanus.
There must be a moratorium on all land that has been on sale, because they were selling each and every piece of land that is available. After we've sent the memorandum, these guys, they never did the public participation. So we never knew what projects are coming to Zwelihle.
We asked him about Skulphoek, which was intended to benefit residents of Zwelihle and the nearby coloured township of Mount Pleasant. It now has to be bought back from developers.
It's land which is in private hands at the moment. I approached the Minister of Human Settlements in the Western Cape with a proposal that we should purchase the Skulphoek land, or the province should purchase it, and or expropriate it if an amicable agreement could not be reached on the purchase of the land. Once province have purchased the land, it will then be handed back to the municipality for the purposes of housing.
He says there simply isn't space in Hermanus.
And the whole of the Overstrand, we sit with the situation that the Overstrand is 230 kilometers long, but it's jammed between the mountain and the sea. It's a narrow strip of real estate.
No space for poor black people?
It's difficult to comment on a statement or a claim that Hermanus is run as a racist town. There have also been claims that Hermanus is the most racially segregated town in South Africa, which I also don't believe is true. But what Hermanus most probably is a town with one of the biggest divides between rich and poor. And that might very well create this impression that it's a racist town. It's certainly not run on racial lines. But we do have this great divide where some of the richest people in South Africa own property in the Overstrand and particularly in Hermanus. But then we also have a 19% unemployment rate with a population of 100,000 people. That gives us nearly 20,000 people that are unemployed. So we've got this vast divide between the rich and the poor, and that is something that we have, and that is something that we struggle with.
Njengoba bengavumi nje nomhlaba khebeze bazohlala kwezi ndlu zethu bazogqiba inyanga, ndiqinisekile soze bayigqiba inyanga, bazobona inhlungu nobugcwayiba esiphantsi kwabo thina singabantu abamnyama.
Stelo says it's time to accept and share.
There are people in Hermanus who are really racist. Not everyone in Hermanus is racist, but there are white people who cannot accept a change. There is a hate amongst us and amongst them. But to us it's easy to fix, but to them they have to fix themselves.
That's all from us this week. Please do give us your feedback. Our Twitter handle is @checkpoint_ENCA and our email address checkpoint@enca.com. Thanks for watching. I'm Nkepile Mabuse. You can watch previous Checkpoint episodes on enca.com as well as on YouTube. Subscribe to the ENCA YouTube channel and click on the Checkpoint playlist to watch.